Hello guys, welcome back to Anime Moments. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of upcoming episode of Renegade Immortal based on novel. So let's start. The Celestial Ascension fruit isn't a rare fruit. Although it isn't common, it is even possible to get it on planet Suzaku. These fruits are only the size of a baby's fist, and they are completely purple and give off a strange fragrance. If a person were to eat one, they would become excited and feel extreme pleasures. This is why this fruit is called Celestial Ascension fruit. If a mortal were to eat one, they would become addicted, but it wouldn't affect a cultivator much. However, there are cultivators who enjoy eating the fruit and losing themselves in that intoxicating feeling. In the mortal world, only the rich and powerful can get Celestial Ascension fruits from cultivators after paying a heavy price. Then they can immerse themselves in the intoxicating feeling like they have become celestials themselves. Wang Lin looked at the plain. It looked like this plain was endless and it was filled with Celestial Ascension fruits. But Wang Lin wasn't interested in the fruits. At this moment, the armored bone arm broke through the restrictions and arrived here. Thick demonic spiritual energy was released from the armored bone arm and surrounded the area. Wang Lin's eyes became cold as he stared at the arm. Then his right hand touched his bag of holding and a celestial sword appeared in his hand. Shuligwa quickly let out a roar. Ever since his rebellion failed, he had always been very careful. Now that Wang Lin had taken out the celestial sword, he decided that he would definitely achieve some merit today. He has followed Wang Lin for many years and was very familiar with Wang Lin's personality. He thought to himself, as long as I achieve some merits, this fiend won't think about what happened back then. Sword hymns came from the celestial sword. A sword was a proud weapon above all other weapons. However, at this moment, the sword hymn that came out contained a dirty meaning. After the black bone arm appeared, it clawed at Wang Lin once more, and the heavenly demon wind gently blew toward him. Wang Lin was already prepared, his eyes turned cold and his heart of slaughter appeared. He quickly swung the celestial sword to send out a ray of sword energy, and the celestial sword itself flew out after the sword energy in the form of a sword dragon. Under Shuligwa's control, the celestial sword swept toward the bone arm in an imposing manner and became entangled in a battle with the arm. The bone arm didn't even seem to care about the celestial sword and reached out to grab the sword. However, at the moment the arm touched the celestial sword, it released violent sizzling sounds like a piece of ice that had just touched hot iron. Shuligwa began to laugh proudly. He was about to break free and get another hit off at the bone arm, however, thick demonic spiritual energy came out from the wrist guard and entered the celestial sword. Shuligwa was startled and wanted to break free, but the bone arm was like a pair of metal pliers that had a tight hold on the sword. Wang Lin coldly looked at everything before him. At the moment that thick demonic spiritual energy was released, Wang Lin raised his right index finger and softly said, "Demonic finger." What was changed this time wasn't his own celestial spiritual energy, but the demonic spiritual energy that was released. Using his ascendant level cultivation, Wang Lin could transform the forces of the heavens and earth. It was different from the death aura that the finger of death gave. This was demonic spiritual energy. At this moment, Wang Lin's right index finger was like a huge vortex, as all of the demonic spiritual energy rushed toward his finger. Soon, a ray of black light appeared at Wang Lin's fingertip. This black light seemed to be able to devour light, and at the moment it appeared, it was surrounded by thick demonic spiritual energy. With a flick of his finger, the black light charged toward the bone arm. Its speed was too quick, so it landed on the bone arm in an instant. After a series of cracking sounds, the bone arm shattered and Shuligwa quickly moved the sword away. At the moment the bone arm shattered, a symbol flashed on the wrist guard. Then the shattered black bone quickly spread, forming a black halo that was 10,000 feet wide. Demonic spiritual energy filled this 10,000-foot area, creating a prison. Then more symbols appeared on the wrist guard and began to emit the sound of a bell ringing. This sound came from the wrist guard, but it seemed to come from the heavens as it echoed within this 10,000-foot area. All of this happened in an instant. This sound was 100 times stronger than the heavenly demon wind, so the clarity Wang Lin managed to maintain with his slaughter heart immediately showed signs of weakening. Wang Lin's expression was gloomy, and with one step he arrived in the air. His hand formed a seal before turning into a palm that slammed down on the wrist guard. At the moment his palm touched the wrist guard, a monstrous demonic flame burst out from the wrist guard. This demonic flame formed a fist-sized shadow. This shadow had a single horn and was completely black. After it appeared, it revealed a smile of contempt before suddenly opening its mouth and laughing loudly. Wang Lin's origin soul shook, but his eyes became even colder. His right hand didn't stop and he pressed down on the wrist guard. At this moment, the black shadow from the wrist guard let out another crazy laugh. This time the sound was several times more intense than before. This intense sound wave created sonic booms that echoed between Wang Lin and the wrist guard. The sonic booms were only secondary, the real attack was aimed at his origin soul. Thanks to this demonic laugh, Wang Lin's origin soul began to leave his body once more. And his heart of slaughter was about to collapse. The shadow on the wrist guard revealed a dark grin and laughed like crazy once more. Wang Lin bit the tip of his tongue. Rather than retreating, he charged forward and grabbed the wrist guard. Then the celestial spiritual energy inside his body surged into the wrist guard like crazy. At the moment his celestial spiritual energy entered the wrist guard, the demonic laugh disappeared. However, the black shadow also disappeared and entered Wang Lin's body through his right hand. It then turned into waves of demonic spiritual energy that charged at his origin soul. The demonic dance of confusion. Wang Lin's right hand clutched the wrist guard as he quickly fell from the sky, then he sat down in the lotus position on the ground. The demonic spiritual energy moved through his meridians and created bursts of illusions that directly shook his origin soul. Wang Lin's eyes revealed a ghostly light as he looked at all the celestial ascension fruits around him. Without any hesitation, he waved his hand and all of the celestial ascension fruits within 10,000 feet flew off the branches and into the sky. There was no less than 10,000 of these fruits. It was as if a small portion of the sky was covered by these purple fruits. At this moment, the demonic spiritual energy inside him was luring his origin soul to fly out of his body. Wang Lin's face was gloomy as he closed his hand. Suddenly, all of the fruits in the sky shattered and their juices were extracted. Then the juices were all gathered together before they were condensed, and condensed again. In the blink of an eye, the juices of more than 10,000 celestial ascension fruits was condensed into one drop. A drop of blood-red liquid. Looking at this drop of blood-red liquid, Wang Lin didn't hesitate to grab it and throw it into his mouth. At the moment the liquid entered his mouth, Wang Lin's entire body shook. The mysterious feeling of the celestial ascension fruit increased countless fold and exploded inside Wang Lin's mind with a thunderous roar. Under this powerful stimulation, Wang Lin's mind was at its peak level of excitement. He suppressed his excitement and used it as power for his body. At this moment, his origin soul, which was about to be lured out by the demonic spiritual energy, suddenly stopped. Wang Lin's eyes were bloodshot and the veins on his head were bulging as if he was enduring great pain. Scram! Wang Lin let out a low roar. This sound was like a thunderous roar that echoed across the land. Then a black shadow was forced out of his body through his right hand. However, this black shadow was extremely stubborn. When it was half forced out, it began to laugh and struggled to re-enter Wang Lin's body. Wang Lin's expression was fierce as the mysterious feeling from the celestial ascension fruit filled his body. This gave his body unimaginable power, and while he had to endure pain, it also gave him intense pleasure. The pain and pleasure were both suppressed by him. The suppression of these two feelings created an unimaginable explosive force. Scram! Wang Lin suddenly raised his head and his hand. Then a force exploded from his body and the black shadow was forced out of his body. At the moment the black shadow was pushed out and sent flying into the air, Wang Lin charged toward it with bloodshot eyes. He grabbed the black shadow and then the celestial spiritual energy from his body surged out like crazy and entered the black shadow. The black shadow let out miserable groan as it collapsed. It turned into fine, silky strings as it escaped from Wang Lin's hand before reforming itself 100 feet from Wang Lin and giving Wang Lin a vicious stare. But Wang Lin completely ignored that gaze. At this moment, the feeling from the fruits was about to explode. Still under the fruit's influence, Wang Lin took a step forward and without any hesitation pointed his pinky at the black shadow. Underworld finger? He used his ascendant level cultivation to bring out the underworld finger. The finger pointed at the underworld to activate the domain inside Wang Lin's origin soul. This finger contained the life and death domain. It contained all of Wang Lin's will. This finger reached its peak under the effect of the celestial ascension fruit. This finger caused the world to change colors. This underworld finger was a spell infinitely close to a low-quality celestial spell, so a large portion of the sky began to collapse and shatter. This one finger was life and death. The shadow with a horn revealed a look of disbelief. It let out a scream and wanted to flee, but the finger arrived. The black shadow's body paused and immediately collapsed. An angry roar came from the armor inside the black tower located inside the ancient battleground. Then a powerful will rushed out and merged with the void. After withdrawing that finger, the restriction created by the demonic spiritual energy within 10,000 feet disappeared. Wang Lin's right hand was still gripping the wrist guard. Crazy amounts of demonic spiritual energy came from the wrist guard as it tried to break free, but Wang Lin's right hand held it tightly. He spat out a mouthful of origin energy and it fell on the wrist guard. Then the origin energy turned into a spider web and sealed the wrist guard. Then he casually put the wrist guard inside his bag of holding. Wang Lin's eyes were still red, as the effect of the celestial ascension fruit wasn't over. An intense battle intent had been born inside Wang Lin's body. This battle intent was extremely powerful and it was impossible to suppress. Wang Lin waved his right hand and the celestial sword flew back and landed in his hand. At this moment, Shu Ligua didn't dare to speak, as the current Wang Lin made his heart tremble. Wang Lin's eyes were completely red as he looked at the ground below him. The amount of celestial ascension fruits he had absorbed was only 1/10 of all the fruits here. He reached out toward the ground with his early-stage ascendant cultivation and caused the ground to tremble. Then countless fruits flew off the trees and went toward him. Nearly 100,000 celestial ascension fruits were stored away inside his bag of holding. At this moment, Wang Lin could no longer suppress the battle and killing intent in his heart. He let out a roar and was about to leave. But just at this moment, a cold snort filled with anger came from the void. It landed directly inside Wang Lin's mind. Wang Lin's mind trembled and then he coughed out a mouthful of blood and fell from the sky. After he landed, his head jerked toward the sky and his eyes revealed powerful killing and battle intent. He couldn't help but be injured. On a normal day, if Wang Lin's mind was injured like that by just a cold snort, he would immediately escape. However, he was different right now, and there was a hint of madness in his eyes. Not only did the injury in his body not decrease his battle intent, it actually made him even more crazy. He slapped his bag of holding and devoured a large amount of pills. With one step, he charged out. Although he was crazy, his consciousness was still there. When the cold snort came, he vaguely felt where it came from and directly charged there. Kill. The only thought in Wang Lin's mind was to kill. The killing intent that was removed when he turned into a mortal exploded once more thanks to the stimulation of the celestial ascension fruit. The fiend that made the sea of greed and Jiao tremble had awakened. Wang Lin's body moved like a flaming meteor across the sky, and he charged directly at the direction where he vaguely felt that cold snort come from. Another cold snort came from the tower in the ancient battleground. This snort contained disdain and killing intent. The cold snort arrived and landed on Wang Lin, causing him to cough out another large mouthful of blood. His eyes became even more crazy as he slapped his bag of holding and almost 100,000 celestial ascension fruits surrounded him. Without any hesitation, Wang Lin's hand reached out and the 100,000 fruits all collapsed one by one. The juices condensed and refined until the 100,000 fruits were condensed into just one drop. Wang Lin looked at the demonically red liquid that could cause a person to collapse and swallowed it. The moment he swallowed that demonically red liquid, Wang Lin felt like his body was about to explode, and the speed at which his blood was circulating through his body reached its limit. His battle intent and madness reached an unprecedented degree at this moment. Then he slapped his bag of holding and a wine jug appeared in his hand. This was the wine jug that he got at the cave, and it contained 10 drops of celestial liquid. As soon as he brought out the wine jug, he drank 4 drops. After the celestial liquid entered his body, celestial spiritual energy moved through his meridians like raging thunder. An unimaginable amount of celestial spiritual energy moved inside his body to the point where he might not be able to handle it. If it wasn't for the fact that his meridians were strengthened when he entered the ascendant stage and were refined by the ancient demon, he definitely wouldn't have been able to bear this. Wang Lin seemed to have gone crazy. His hair started flowing in the air and he charged out like a madman. A ghostly light flashed within the armor inside the Black Tower and a divine message echoed out. Could he have gone crazy? If he really comes here and damages the armor I'm in, he won't be able to make it here. A ray of killing intent came out from the tower and disappeared into the void. This strand of killing intent suddenly locked onto Wang Lin from within the void. The celestial spiritual energy was surging through Wang Lin's body when the killing intent arrived. His body trembled, but the battle intent in his eyes became even stronger. With a roar, the celestial spiritual energy inside his body seemed to explode, causing his body to move even faster. At this moment, Wang Lin was like a flame. Every time the person inside the Black Tower tried to extinguish the flame, it would ignite once more. It wasn't that he wasn't injured anymore, on the contrary, he was seriously injured from the continuous attacks from the person inside the Black Tower. However, due to the celestial ascension fruit, the stimulation in his origin soul was not going to go away anytime soon unless he died. Under this stimulation, no matter how serious his injuries were, he wouldn't care. The celestial spiritual energy surged even faster thanks to the effect of those 4 drops of celestial liquid. At this moment, there was only one thought in Wang Lin's mind, and that was, kill. The divine sense inside the tower became even more angry and continued to attack. If it was anyone else, they would have already died, but thanks to the strange cooperation of the celestial ascension fruit and celestial liquid, Wang Lin wasn't dead. Normally his flesh would have died long ago and his origin soul would have collapsed. However, thanks to the effect of the celestial ascension fruit, his origin soul didn't collapse. Thanks to the surge of celestial spiritual energy from the celestial liquid, his body didn't break. Die? The divine sense showed a hint of fear. Given Wang Lin's current state, even the person inside the Black Tower couldn't help but feel like something bad was coming. From his point of view, this Wang Lin had really gone crazy. If I knew it was going to be like this, I would not have tried to devour him. The death intent inside the divine sense pierced through the void and landed on Wang Lin. Wang Lin coughed out a large mouthful of blood. Although his eyes dimmed a bit, it was soon replaced with killing and battle intent. As Wang Lin flew, a beast-like roar came out of his throat. Finger of Death. The finger of death absorbs the life force others, causing the living to wither and give their power to it. At this moment, Wang Lin used this power in this crazed state. An aura of death began to spread out from his body and fused with the world. As he floated in the air, all of the vegetation under him withered. As he flew across the sky, the withering on the earth spread, and vegetation, birds, and beasts all died. This place looked like hell. It was very strange yet extremely shocking. Their deaths created strands of white gas that caught up to Wang Lin and entered his body. These strands of white gas quickly helped repair Wang Lin's damaged body and origin soul. In the fire demon country, Zishu was sitting on a horse. He was wearing a blue robe and had a giant sword on his back, and his eyes looked coldly into the distance. Behind him were 30,000 demon soldiers. The Da Lu sword sect's 12 swords had all scattered, and he was one of them. His cultivation was at the peak of the late stage of soul transformation. He had successfully gotten the position of chief commander and was leading his demon soldiers to meet his fellow brothers. As they moved, his expression suddenly changed when he saw a meteor blazing across the sky. His eyes narrowed to look at it carefully and then his expression immediately changed. Ascendant cultivator. He quickly lowered his head and ordered his demon soldiers to back up, as he was unwilling to provoke this ascendant cultivator. He also saw that this ascendant cultivator's state of mind seemed a bit crazy. What made him even more terrified was that everywhere that person went, the earth under him would completely wither and be absorbed. Fortunately, they weren't on the same path, or else Zishu would have immediately chosen to go into another direction and stay far away from this person. Wang Lin didn't even notice the demon soldiers. Right now the only things in his eyes were battle and kill. At this moment, the cold snort carrying killing intent and a hint of anxiety came again. This time it was even stronger, causing Wang Lin's body to tremble and cough out another mouthful of blood. His body was about to be destroyed and his origin soul was about to dissipate. However, all of the life force he had absorbed on the way here was slowly nourishing his body and origin soul, allowing them to slowly recover. Zishu stared at Wang Lin in the sky. When he saw Wang Lin cough out blood, his eyes suddenly lit up. This person must be seriously injured. Although he has a strong aura, for him to cough out blood while just flying shows just how injured he is. Since this person has reached the ascendant stage, he must have many magic treasures and even some good techniques. More importantly, if I can refine his origin soul and feed it to my sword spirit, it will increase the power of my sword spirit greatly. A hint of killing intent appeared in Zishu's eyes, but it soon dimmed. This person is an ascendant cultivator after all. But if I let this opportunity pass, who knows when I'll meet another seriously injured ascendant cultivator. Let's do it. Zishu's eyes lit up once more. Kill. Zishu's body turned into a shadow and charged directly toward Wang Lin. The demon soldiers behind him heard the order and quickly began laying down the formation. A killing intent locked onto Wang Lin. Wang Lin's eyes were filled with killing intent, so he was very sensitive to killing intent. He turned his head and saw the 30,000 demon soldiers on the ground and Zishu, who was charging at him. He revealed a grim smile, then his body moved and charged towards Zishu. He was simply too fast and arrived next to Zishu's body in an instant. Zishu's expression changed greatly. He expected this person to run, not charge at him while seriously injured. He let out a snort before his hand formed a seal and a large sword on his back flew out. At the moment the large sword flew out, Wang Lin appeared. He grabbed the large sword with his right hand and threw it behind him. Then at the same time, he passed right beside Zishu. At the Wang Lion passed by Zishu, he softly tapped Zishu's shoulder. Zishu trembled and his body immediately withered along with his origin soul. In the blink of an eye, a life seal was formed, and it flew toward Wang Lin. Wang Lin's didn't stop at all and charged into the 30,000 demon soldiers on the ground. A mad slaughter began. Blood stained the earth and souls filled the sky. Strands of life seals continued to appear and enter his body. Half an incense stick of time later, the ground was covered in blood. After it was over, Wang Lin flew out and charged into the distance. He now had 30,000 life seals, each of which carried endless vitality. As each mark disappeared, his body recovered a bit. The life seals were quickly dissipating, but his body was also quickly recovering. The anger of the divine sense inside the Black Tower in the ancient battleground became even stronger. This person absorbed a large number of celestial ascension fruits. Under the effect of the fruit, he isn't even afraid of death. Many of my attacks should have killed him, but instead of dying, his battle intent became even stronger. That's not even the important part. This person has a spell that allows him to absorb life from all sorts of life forms, allowing his injuries to recover at a rapid pace. If this continues, he will arrive here one day. A very rare feeling of regret appeared in the divine sense inside the black armor. At the moment Wang Lin left, Zishu's body was already on the ground. It had completely withered and was left without a trace of vitality, but there was a faint, golden light flashing on his forehead. Zishu's origin soul had already collapsed, so his body fell from the sky. The difference between him and Wang Lin was too big, he couldn't even use the sword energy that his master gifted him before he died. Wang Lin's heart carried a fierce madness, and the celestial spiritual energy inside his body moved like surging waves between his meridians and origin soul. Adding on the stimulation from the fruit, he was like a war god carrying monstrous killing intent. His eyes were bloodshot as he took a step forward in the air. There were rumbling echoes across the air as if his steps were shattering the sky. He moved rapidly across the air with these large strides. He was still far away from the location of the ancient battleground. Wang Lin's eyes were bloodshot as he walked across the sky, attracting the attention of a lot of people inside the demon spirit land. Among these people were cultivators and the demon generals of the fire demon country. As long as they didn't provoke Wang Lin, he ignored them, but at the moment they had any killing intent toward Wang Lin, he would immediately be able to detect them due to his current state. Anyone who had killing intent would be killed by Wang Lin without any hesitation. There was a private planet far away from planet Chen Yun called Planet Mo. This planet belonged to someone called Mo Ancestor. His cultivation had reached illusory yin of the yin and yang stage. This time, with his current cultivation, he lost the qualification to enter the demon spirit land. However, of his 3 disciples, aside from the head disciple, the other 2 both entered. At this moment 2 youths wearing grey robes were flying across the sky in the fire demon country. These 2 were the 2 direct disciples of the Mo Ancestor. As they flew, one of their eyes suddenly lit up. He looked into the distance and could clearly feel that there seemed to be a primal beast emitting unimaginable killing intent and that it was coming toward their direction. This person's expression suddenly changed and he yelled, "Junior brother, quickly retreat." With that, the 2 of them quickly scattered to the sides, and right after they did so, a meteor-like figure passed by. The figure passed by them. Ascendant. This person's pupils shrank. Senior brother, he seems to be injured. The person's junior brother suddenly stared at the figure filled with killing intent gradually moving away and suddenly sent a voice transmission. An ascendant cultivator must have a lot of treasure on him. If we can obtain his demon crystal. The senior brother's eyes narrowed and he hesitated. Senior brother, both of us are at the late stage of soul transformation. Although our chances aren't great, with the 2 of us against an injured ascendant cultivator, and if we use magical treasures. Just as the 2 of them were communicating with each other, Wang Lin suddenly stopped. He turned around, looked behind him with his bloodshot eyes, and muttered, "There is killing intent." He suddenly turned around and charged toward those 2 like a bolt of lightning. When the 2 of them saw Wang Lin turn around, their expressions quickly changed and they began to retreat. However, Wang Lin's speed was too fast, so in the blink of an eye, he arrived next to the junior brother and extended his finger. The youth's expression changed greatly and was aghast at the situation. He looked at Wang Lin's gaze and was startled. This gaze was too terrifying. Wang Lin's finger made the youth feel like it was completely irresistible, as if this finger represented the heavens. This finger landed on his forehead at an unimaginable speed. This youth let out a miserable groan before his body instantaneously withered and his origin soul collapsed. The shattered origin soul and essence of his body was turned into slaughter energy, then that strand of slaughter energy left his body and flew to Wang Lin. This all happened too fast. So fast that the senior brother wasn't able to react at all. By the time he awakened from the shock, his body shivered. Without any hesitation, he began to teleport and his body stepped into the void. Wang Lin took a step forward, streaked through the sky, and his right hand reached out. His finger seemed to have pierced through the void and forcibly pulled the young man out. The young man's face was pale as he quickly said, "I'm Mo Ancestors." Without waiting for him to finish speaking, Wang Lin's hand tightened. This person's body suddenly collapsed into pieces of flesh that fell to the ground. His life force turned into grey gas and flew toward Wang Lin. After killing the 2 of them, Wang Lin's eyes became even more red, and the battle intent became even stronger. Then his body suddenly jerked and he charged into the distance. As Wang Lin flew, the earth continued to wither. Every living thing died, whether it was vegetation or animals. All of them were killed and used to nourish Wang Lin's body. He seemed to come from hell as he devoured all life. Wang Lin flew almost in a straight line across the fire demon country, and everything along this line withered. A large amount of death was left behind as Wang Lin passed through. This was a kind of humiliation and provocation for a country. Dozens of demon generals were sent out to encircle and suppress this devil cultivator. The location of his encirclement was located near the border of the fire demon country and sky demon country. This place was called the Million Demon Mountain. Thick fog that never dissipated covered the Million Demon Mountain. There were 2 cities near the Million Demon Mountains with one on each side. One was the Fire Demon Country's Leisure Sky City and the other was the Sky Demon Country's Melting Fire City. At this moment, more than 100,000 demon soldiers were prepared in Leisure Sky City and more than 10 demon generals were looking at the distance. Among the demon generals, there was one person of a different rank. This person was a middle-aged man, and his expression was gloomy. Killing this cultivator will not be difficult for us. This time the Vice Commander-in-Chief is with us, so it will be even easier. A man next to the middle-aged man smiled. Although he was smiling, he was still showing respect. The next demon general laughed. That's right. With the Vice Commander-in-Chief here, we can turn that cultivator into ashes in an instant. The middle-aged man calmly said, all of you, finish this battle quickly, and once you guys kill that cultivator, I'll be leaving. Although his expression was gloomy, there was still a hint of pride in his eyes. As a Vice Commander-in-Chief, his status was very high, and he would normally not leave the capital for a mere cultivator. He was originally going to go to the Sky Demon Country for a personal matter, but when he arrived, he received orders from the Demon Emperor to stay here for a few days to lead the demon generals in a fight against a cultivator. He was quite helpless about this arrangement. In his opinion, there was no need to send this many people to kill a cultivator. It was too troublesome. At this moment, he pondered and said, you guys sure this person will pass through here? Vice Commander-in-Chief, be at ease, as we have already sent people to scout. This person is traveling in a straight line and will definitely pass through here. Vice Commander-in-Chief, there is one thing that confuses me. Out of the 10 people we sent out, only 3 of them died instead of all of them dying. It seems like this cultivator has some strange attitude when it comes to killing people. As the demon generals were talking, the middle-aged man's expression changed. He looked into the distance and revealed a hint of impatience as he said, a mere ascendant cultivator who is also seriously injured dares to be this bold in my Fire Demon Country. All of you, quickly finish this fight. The more than 10 demon generals were startled and they all directed their cold gazes into the distance. One person wearing blue armor took a few steps forward toward the middle-aged man and said, Lord Vice Commander-in-Chief, your subordinate, Yindong, is willing to go kill this person. The middle-aged man nodded. Demon General Yindong took a step, turned into a ray of green light, and flew toward Wang Lin. Yindong's eyes became cold and revealed a hint of killing intent. He had to beautifully kill this person before the Vice Commander-in-Chief. If he could catch the attention of the Vice Commander-in-Chief, he would be on the path to success. An injured early-stage ascendant cultivator, HMPH. My demonic force is almost at 300,000, and although I have no confidence against a real ascendant cultivator, you are seriously injured. Killing you won't be difficult. Killing intent, as Wang Lin flew, his eyes contained a monstrous amount of red, and killing and battle intent filled his mind. Incomer, stop! Yindong shouted as he flew, and he poured all of his demonic force into this sound to create a shock effect. This loud roar was like a thunderous roar as it echoed across the city. Then all 100,000 soldiers came to attention and a killing aura surrounded the area. The middle-aged man revealed a hint of admiration for talent and said, this Yindong is not bad, he knows to use aura to pressure people. Yindong felt very proud when he felt the killing intent in the air. However, he didn't know that this killing intent led to the bloody gates of hell. This thick killing intent was immediately felt by Wang Lin in his current sensitive state. This killing intent was too strong, and when Wang Lin felt this, his crazy mind caused his battle intent to increase several-fold. He didn't stop at all and stepped forth. Yindong let out a cold snort and was about to use a skill, but right at this moment, Wang Lin suddenly raised his head. His eyes revealed a crazy amount of red light as he lifted his hand and pointed forward. In an instant, a black light created by the finger of death shot out. Yindong didn't even have time to dodge before he was surrounded by the black light, then his body withered and eventually collapsed. At this moment, the shouts from the 100,000 demon soldiers on the ground suddenly stopped. Silence, a strange silence filled the wall. The middle-aged man's eyes suddenly opened and for the first time revealed a sign of caution. Kill! During this silence, Wang Lin let out a roar. Then strands of slaughter energy came out from his body and turned into dragons. In an instant, the more than 30,000 strands of slaughter energy appeared and filled the air. At this moment, Wang Lin was surrounded by more than 30,000 dragons and looked like a demon god that was descending. Every chief commander, listen to orders and prepare the formation. A shout came from one of the old men among the demon generals, causing the 100,000 demon soldiers to immediately move. At the moment the 100,000 demon soldiers moved, the 30,000 strands of slaughter aura descended. A bloodbath was about to start. It was not false that 100,000 demon soldiers could destroy an ascendant cultivator, but only if this ascendant cultivator wasn't Wang Lin. When a normal ascendant cultivator meets 100,000 demon soldiers, although they can use spells to kill them, the 100,000 demon soldiers can battle the ascendant cultivator by fusing their demonic spiritual energy into one and creating a formation. But at this moment, Wang Lin was so crazy that he wasn't even afraid of death, so how would he mind these demon soldiers? His celestial slaughter out-required slaughter to create more slaughter energy. At this moment, Wang Lin's origin soul was being stimulated by the celestial ascension fruit and he had a large amount of celestial spiritual energy in his body, so how could he be stopped by 100,000 demon soldiers? If there were 5 times more demon soldiers, Wang Lin would definitely be defeated, but he would not lose when facing only 100,000 of them. Slaughter energy charged through the demon soldiers like crazy. As the tragic screams came from the demon soldiers, their demonic spiritual energy gathered to form the image of a scorpion. The scorpion was made of demonic spiritual energy and had a very large body. The scorpion's tail looked like it could shatter space itself when it attacked. The middle-aged man on the wall had a gloomy expression as he said, "Go and kill this person." The demon generals beside him all charged out toward Wang Lin. Wang Lin immediately noticed more than 10 strands of killing intent coming at him. He quickly moved and pointed his right pinky forward. Underworld finger? This underworld finger was used with ascendant level cultivation. One finger to summon the underworld. After his domain and origin soul fused, this finger represented the changes of life and death. The moment the finger appeared, countless flashes of lightning appeared across the sky and a large river suddenly appeared in the air. This river was cloudy with countless remnants and limbs flowing within it. There were also countless ghosts struggling within, and many different human faces could be seen within the water. As Wang Lin waved his pinky, large waves were created inside the river and descended from the sky. It came down like a flood and trapped all living things within it. As the water from the underworld fell from the sky became cloudy and the life and death domain was activated. This underworld river was something he comprehended in the 10 years it took for his origin soul and domain to fuse. This river did not belong to the heavens, it was formed by Wang Lin, and only he controlled it. He had comprehended the heavens' reincarnation cycle, and during those 10 years of enlightenment, he used the underworld finger to create this endless underworld river. The moment the demon generals charged out, they were washed away by the underworld river that descended from the sky and were trapped by it. Bursts of exclamations came from the demon generals. They just couldn't believe that the youth before them was this strong. One spell was able to trap most of the demon generals. Although they couldn't completely see through this spell, few were able to see some clues. The middle-aged man on the wall's face changed like it never had before. He unconsciously took a few steps back and revealed a look of disbelief. This isn't possible. This person is only an ascendant cultivator, but he has such a terrifying Tao that he has already created his own underworld river. This kind of cultivation has already reached the second step of reaching the edge of the heavens Tao. Making his own reincarnation cycle with the underworld river formed by his own Tao was the biggest harvest he had in the last 10 years of defying the heavens. But this Tao was still only a vague concept in Wang Lin's mind. After all, 10 years of comprehension was still too little. However, he was currently being stimulated by the celestial ascension fruit, so his mind had reached a new peak. Adding on the surging celestial spiritual energy inside his body, the effects of both could be able to complete that vague concept in his mind and make it into reality. This was the most important step in his life as a cultivator so far. Once he takes this step, he will truly have his own Tao. From that moment on, he will no longer cultivate the heavens, the earth, the immortals, or the gods. He will become a Daoist. Someone who cultivates Tao. The underworld river swept across the group and carried more than 10 demon soldiers back with it. The demon generals trapped inside the underworld river struggled like crazy. Their combined struggle was very powerful and even caused the newly formed underworld river to loosen a bit. Wang Lin's eyes became red as he turned into shadow and entered the underworld river. Once he entered the underworld river, it became as stable as Mount Tai. Anyone who wishes to kill me will be trapped in my underworld river. This is my own reincarnation cycle that isn't controlled by the heavens. Wang Lin's voice spread out his Tao. It fused into the underworld river and turned into reincarnation power. The underworld river rolled back and disappeared from the world, and the more than 10 demon generals disappeared with it. The scorpion formed by the demon soldiers also collapsed. As the 30,000 strands of slaughter energy moved through, they carried back with them strands of grey gas. These strands all rushed toward Wang Lin, who was slowly walking toward the city. It looked like the grey gas was a giant cloak on Wang Lin's back. This cloak was so big that it covered the earth. The expression of the middle-aged man on the wall became pale and his throat felt dry. He kept backing up, as he felt like he had no power to resist the man before him. My cultivation level is the same as this person's, both of us are at the early stage of ascendant. This person is seriously injured, so I was originally 100% confident in killing him, but now I'm not even 10% confident. This person already has his own Tao, and that underworld river is too terrifying. The demon emperor has harmed me by making me stay here. The middle-aged man clenched his teeth and began to retreat like crazy. He didn't hesitate at all as he took out a black, fist-sized beast bone and crushed it. The moment the beast bone shattered, a strand of black gas came out of it. The black gas quickly surrounded the middle-aged man and teleported him away. This black bone was a very precious item that could teleport someone directly back to the capital. Only the commander-in-chiefs and vice-commander-in-chiefs had them. Wang Lin's eyes were extremely red. He waved his hand and the 100,000 demon soldiers turned into 100,000 strands of slaughter energy. Adding on the 30,000 strands from before, 130,000 strands of slaughter energy charged out. At the moment the middle-aged man disappeared, the 130,000 strands of slaughter energy quickly caught up. There was a very luxurious transfer array in the capital of the fire demon country that only commander-in-chiefs and vice-commander-in-chiefs could use. The head steward of the fire demon country was silently cultivating next to the array. He suddenly opened his eyes and revealed a smile as the transfer array activated. He knew that a commander-in-chief or vice-commander-in-chief had returned. I wonder who returned. He stood up and turned around to look at the formation. However, his expression immediately changed. He stared at the formation and was completely dumbfounded. As the formation lit up, a withered mummy fell from the void. The mummy's eyes were still open and filled with reluctance. The death of a vice-commander-in-chief was a big deal for any of the countries in the demon spirit land. The angry roar of the fire demon country's demon emperor echoed throughout the entire capital. Search. Find who that cultivator is and kill him. I don't care what his identity is, I want him dead. As Wang Lin left the city at the border between the fire demon country and the sky demon country, he took with him 100,000 strands of slaughter energy. The power of the celestial ascension fruit in his body was still going strong. Not only had the killing not lowered his battle intent, it caused it to increase even more. His killing intent also increased. He turned into a ferocious meteor as he charged toward the location where he sensed the source of the attacks. In the past several days, that cold snort never appeared again. Wang Lin's body had already recovered thanks to all of the life force he had taken from the earth. In fact, his body was reaching its peak with the help of all the slaughter energy. In the Black Tower in the ancient battleground, there was a ghostly light flickering inside the armor that was missing a wrist guard, and there was an old man kneeling before the armor. This old man was wearing all black. He was the person that saved Hu Pao. I'll give you 3 pieces of the demonic armor. Stop him, he is not allowed to step foot onto this ancient battleground. As the divine sense message echoed in the tower, a wrist guard, chest piece, and shoulder guard flew off the armor. The moment the 3 pieces of armor flew out, they turned into black threads that drilled into the old man's clothes. The black threads moved through the old man's skin and quickly appeared all over his body. The threads constantly moved, and when they eventually stopped, a set of black armor appeared over the old man. This armor was simple, but there was a monstrous amount of devilish energy coming from it. An arm-sized illusion appeared from the devilish energy. This illusion was a shadow with a single horn, exactly the same as the creature Wang Lin destroyed. The moment it appeared, it entered the old man's forehead. The old man seemed to be enduring a great deal of pain. The veins all over his body swelled up and his cries of pain spread far into the distance. After a long time, the old man's body trembled. Then his eyes revealed a devilish light and he respectfully said, "This devil's servant obeys. Go." The ghostly light from the armor was very dim. The divine sense message it gave out revealed that it was tired. The old man no longer spoke. He stood up and walked out of the tower. Then he looked into the distance and, after pondering a bit, he shouted, "Demon guardians, come out." After he said that, a huge gust of wind appeared over the entire ancient battleground. This wind was extremely cold and felt like it could freeze the ground it blew by. This demonic wind circled around the old man and turned into a woman wearing armor. There was a tattoo on her face that covered her whole body. However, due to her armor, parts of the tattoo were blocked. After she appeared, she knelt down on one knee and softly said, "Demon Guardian Wind Song, present." If Wang Lin was here, he would notice that this woman was very similar to Demon General Xie Lian. Shortly after, the earth trembled and there was a series of explosions. The ground 100 feet before the old man suddenly exploded and a completely black arm reached out. A very lean old man climbed out from the ground. He was on all fours like some kind of wild beast. He turned his head to look at the old man and grinned. "Demon Guardian Earth Devil, present." At this moment, soul fragments filled the horizon and waves of ghostly wails could be heard. These soul fragments formed a giant, black cloud that covered the sky. There were no less than 100 million soul fragments within the black cloud. The black cloud formed a cone shape, and below it, a sullen-looking young man was slowly walking over. The roars of the large amount of soul fragments behind him echoed across the area. Demon Guardian Hu Pao, present. This video will end here.